Over the past few weeks, I've noticed there's something that keeps coming up over and over again in my conversations with other top local realtors, people that work at title companies, lenders, even general contractors. Everybody's talking about how there are no easy sales right now. And it's true. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in 2026, here are some practical tips that can help you bulletproof a transaction and succeed in the local real estate market. All right, let's talk about the home buying process. The number one thing you have to know up front is how are you going to pay for it? Cash, or are you going to get a bank loan? If you're planning to get a bank loan, the number one thing you can do right now is get pre-qualified with a good lender. Now, if you have to sell another home that you're currently living in as part of this process, it's important to know when are you going to put that home on the market? What is its value and how does that impact your ability to purchase? Because there's nothing worse than going out into the market and finding your dream home and not being ready to pull the trigger because you haven't worked out where's your financing coming from, or because you need to make a contingent offer on the sale of another house that isn't even on the market yet. Once you make an offer on a house and that offer has been accepted, the next thing you're going to do, if you follow the typical process, are all of your home inspections. Now, there's a big difference among home inspectors. Not all home inspectors are created equal, and the same can be said for all the other different types of inspectors that might be necessary along the way. People that do sewer scope inspections, radon tests, roofers, and other contractors that you may need to call on to get input during the inspection and repair negotiation phase of the deal. So it's important to work with your agent and make sure you know who that team of professionals is that you're going to call on once you have an offer accepted and you have to do your inspections and come to a resolution with the seller about any repair issues in a relatively short amount of time. You typically only have 2 weeks to work all of that out. When I'm representing a buyer, after we come to agreement with the seller on how any repair related issues that came up during the inspection process are going to be handled prior to closing, one of the last things that usually happens in a transaction is we need to have a successful bank appraisal. Now, if it's a cash deal, there's no appraisal required, but most deals are financed. So as a buyer's agent, I don't have that much ability to influence the appraisal in any way, but I can be proactive about communicating with the listing agent and the lender to make sure that everything's being done on time. After that, you typically proceed to closing. But prior to closing, the buyer needs the opportunity to review all of the closing paperwork, including the loan documents, if the home is being financed, before the sale can close. Now, the actual signing appointment for the buyer can actually present an interesting challenge. We just had a deal where one of our clients was all the way across the country, and because of the time required to get documents signed and sent via courier, overnight mail, back across the country, it presented a delay that jeopardized our ability to close on time. All of those types of things can be avoided if they're anticipated in advance, and I'm communicating on behalf of a buyer client with the whole team at the title company and the bank to make sure that everybody's working in concert together to do what's required to hit the closing date on time. If you're planning to sell your home, here are some practical things you can do to bulletproof the process up front. Now, if I were selling my own home, the number one thing I would do is I would have a professional home inspection done preemptively to see if there are any big surprises, repair issues that I'm going to be forced to address in the sale process. Personally, I would also have a sewer scope done. I might even have a radon test done, because with that information in hand, it puts me and you as a seller in a very strong position to negotiate repair issues when that comes up later in the process with a buyer. That information gives you a blueprint for how to prepare your home for the market. The next most important consideration is how do you get your home into showroom condition? Now, unless your home really has some critical flaws, I never recommend remodeling your home just to sell it. The cost of remodeling has gone sky high right now, but there are things you can do to spruce your home up and get it into its best condition for the market. Simple things that don't cost that much, like painting, shampooing, or maybe even replacing some carpet, and other things you can do in the yard to get your house completely dialed in and ready for the market. And I can't overstate how important I think staging is. If you can't empty your house and have it staged professionally prior to taking professional photos and video and all the other marketing elements that are going to be created to sell that home, we can also provide professional recommendations from our staging contractors to help you augment your current furnishings and artwork to make your home look its best when it actually hits the market. Now, once you get an offer in hand, you've come to agreement with a buyer, the buyer's going to do their home inspections. Most of the time, they're going to do all the same inspections that I just recommended you do up front. By having that information in hand, the buyer can't come in later and bully you with the results of their home inspections, because we already know what the issues are with the house. And if we've really been proactive, we've already addressed the most important repair issues that can threaten a sale or a home's ability to qualify for a loan if they're not taken care of. Addressing those things up front puts you in a very powerful position. After that, in most cases, the buyer is going to be getting a bank loan. Now that requires an appraisal. I mentioned that a minute ago when I was talking about what it's like when you're on the buyer side of the transaction. A buyer's agent can't do that much to influence an appraisal, but a listing agent has a little more leverage to engage with the appraiser, make sure that you meet them at the house the day they come to do the appraisal, and share any relevant information about recent sales in the neighborhood that might help the appraiser come up with a value that will support the contract price that buyer and seller have agreed to. After that, assuming there's no delays of any other kind, you proceed to closing. And as a seller, the closing process is much easier than it is for a buyer because there are no loan documents. Often sellers can sign remotely. They're often not even in town at the time when they sign their closing documents. That part of the process in most cases is pretty easy. If there's something else involved, like a 1031 exchange or some other complicated issues with trusts and other factors, that can be a little more complicated, but generally the final process for the seller of signing all of your closing documents is relatively simple. All right, if that process I just described for buying or selling a home sounds complicated, the truth is sometimes it is. It can be fraught with challenges, but we work with buyers and sellers all the time and help them navigate this whole process successfully. And I'd love to talk to you. If you're thinking about buying or selling in 2026, there are no easy real estate deals, but it's not impossible. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm easy to find. You can call or text me anytime at my contact information below.